truths and rumors that don't get reported. Stories I write that are often distorted. Got my notebook and pen, and I'm ready to listen. Tell me the truth, I'll consider your position. I've seen killers with eyes so cold and dead, and others go to prison because of what someone said, rotting away for the rest of their lives, leaving a hole here on the outside. Things are sad here on Earth, and it's no wonder why, when you consider the sociopaths who remain in charge. It's me who sees the system for all its flaws, and I usually start with the probable cause. My right hand is reading the probable cause. Welcome to The Probable Cause. This is a podcast covering the criminal justice system in Allen County, Indiana, Northeastern Indiana, and the state. I'm Jamie Duffy, your host and a locally based journalist, and to my left over there is our co-host, Michael McAlexander. He is the Allen County Prosecutor. Today we have a special guest. Let me introduce Dr. Christopher Felton. You may also know him as Detective Sergeant Chris Felton of the Fort Wayne Police Department, one of two sergeants over the Gang and Violent Crimes Unit, sometimes called the GVCU. I always just call it the Gang Unit. He is here to talk about the department's Crime Gun Intelligence Center Task Force, or I think you refer to it as the CGIC.
CGIC, for sure.
CGIC. Okay, so after that, we'll just call it CGIC. And it's been very successful. But first, the courts. Mike, what have we got this week?
We had a child molest trial that had a hung jury previously that went to trial on Monday and Tuesday. Jury came back with a guilty verdict. And we also have a homicide case that I don't know if it'll get to the jury today or tomorrow, but they're getting close to wrapping up.
All right, this is Thursday today. It's Draylon Crutchfield. As I said, as I was telling them before, I did write up that probable cause. I'll probably repost it. It was one of the saddest because it was obviously family crowding in the household, and tempers flared, and unfortunately somebody got stabbed. And when I wrote that one up, I'm telling you, I cried. I also stepped into civil court Wednesday and covered a real estate dispute over a promissory note. It's about property on West Main Street, which I think is a trendy neighborhood coming up. And as I said in my article, you're looking for a fixer-upper. That might not be a bad place to look. There's all kinds of shops. There's a yellow retirement, which I had never noticed before. Really fabulous restaurants.
Well, I mean, I think Paula's has been there for a long time, and O'Sullivan's has been there since, I think, 1978 or 79.
Yeah, well, that place, they've got good beer there, I guess.
But then Spoken Ivy
That's
opened in the last couple of years.
And don't forget the Redwood Inn, which really played prominently in my story because they're still serving their sausage rolls, which I've never had, but now I feel like I should get over. Oh, yeah. Okay. Brock is saying they're really good. All right. So
They also have mushroom rolls, I believe.
Mushroom rolls. Oh, wow. I love mushrooms. So anyway,
Their pizza's pretty good too.
You can find these stories on our Facebook page, which is The Probable Cause, or on www.theprobablecause.com. I wish you all would go there. It would make me feel so good if you would. So now on to Sergeant Felton. I bumped into him in the Russo Center probably about a month ago because early voting had just started, and I realized it had been quite a while since I talked to him. I remember when he went on the gang unit. What year was that?
2019.
Yep. Okay. So I was the police reporter then at the Journal-Gazette. It's kind of hard to know where to start with Detective Sergeant Chris Felton because he's also Dr. Felton and teaches criminal justice and forensic psychology at Trine University and Indiana Tech. So you've got a whole bunch of students out there who probably wave at you when you go by in your cop car. And when you teach, do you wear all this gear? No. What do you wear?
Shirt and tie.
Oh, a shirt and tie, and that's it. Interesting. I'm sure they have all kinds of questions for you, the students.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you've been teaching since
2000. I started at Indiana Tech in 2013, teaching in the day program.
Right.
Right. So I would have usually two classes a semester. Those were in-person classes with the students. And
what do they often ask you, though? I would love to know.
Anything from why do you police turn on their lights to get through an intersection, to the more legit criminal justice theoretical questions. It's lots of different things.
Like,
nothing
do
too
most
wild.
of them want to be officers and prosecutors and people within the criminal justice
Probably
system?
in all my CJ classes, about 75% want to go into some type of criminal justice career, whether law school or federal or state or local. Then the other 25% are there because it's an elective class, or they're in cybersecurity, and they think you might have some type of tie-in, or they just had to choose something to take and thought criminal justice intro class sounded interesting. And
I'd love to know what motivates you, because not only have you done really well with the FWPD, but you've worked toward and achieved getting a doctorate. I mean, do you just wake up in the morning and drink 5 cups of coffee? And
some days it depends how long the day before was, but
yeah, right.
no, I've always believed in you should always. You can never stop learning, right? You should always be striving to improve yourself, because then you can help improve the lives of others. And that's why I enjoy teaching, because that's why I don't wear this when I do teach in person, because I want the students to see me. They know what I do, but not see me as a cop. See me in that non-enforcement, more of a friendly environment, to have those meaningful conversations and tell them my experiences, what I've seen in my 19 years here. And that the system isn't perfect. We need young people who want to learn and make improvements to make this system as good as it can be, and then just share what I've learned along the way to help guide them through their career endeavors. And
I mean, do you have law enforcement in your family? I know you said you grew up in the Cleveland. What suburb of Cleveland did you grow up in?
Oh, for privacy.
Just curious, because I know Cleveland a little bit.
Yeah.
And when I take the Amtrak to New York City, we go through Cleveland.
Yeah, east side of it.
And we know Cleveland rocks, okay?
Yes, it does.
So, according to that rock and roll song. So, yeah.
No law enforcement in my family. No.
You do?
No. My grandpa was in the Army. That's why I went into the National Guard, Army National Guard in college. But otherwise, no law enforcement or anything.
Oh, so what made you want to be
Wanting to help those who can't help themselves.
Really?
Just defend those who can't defend themselves was always my calling.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if you're talking about the gang unit, I'm sure you see a tremendous amount of that. Troubled kids and all of that. So you joined the department in 2007. Prior to that, you went to college in Ohio.
Yes.
And then somebody suggested that you apply to the Fort Wayne PD.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I applied and thought, what could hurt? I faxed my application back then. The last day that the application period was open, so I faxed it here, and then we got the invite to come take the PT test. And that was the first time I'd ever come to Fort Wayne, was come run a mile and a half and do all those things. And thought, it looks like Toledo, it looks like any other city in the Midwest. So thought, why not? And then,
Well, I think that we think we're better looking than Toledo.
yes, we are better looking than Toledo for sure.
We certainly are now with the riverfront. Although I remember reading a New York Times article about there was a mayor from Toledo who was trying to utilize the riverfront there too.
Okay.
So you're on Lake Erie.
Right, it's on Lake Erie, and the Maumee runs right through Toledo, obviously.
Right, and you've got to sidestep the algae blooms in August and September, right? My little environmental wisecrack. You teach and develops courses in criminal justice and forensic psychology at Indiana Tech and Trine University. So is this what you think about at night before you go to sleep, how you can make these courses more interesting?
Sometimes you have to prioritize, like, this day I'll think about teaching in college classes. This day I'll think about, when I was doing my PhD. This next day I'll think about this job. So I kind of, dedicate different efforts to different days of the week was how I always managed.
Well, I suppose what a lot of students ask you is, how dangerous is it out there? And how has it become more dangerous because now we have long guns?
Sure. I haven't asked that before, and there's different responses. We're in Fort Wayne. We're fortunate because we have a lot of officers working the streets. So backup is usually there in a few minutes. In the gang unit in particular, we go everywhere as a group, so we're never really alone. Whereas, the regular patrol officers, they may be alone for a few minutes, they'll back up there, but it's still pretty quick. But like Allen County, if there's fewer officers working, their backup's further away, and then state police, there's even further away. So your definition of danger, it depends on how the person defines danger. We deal with, in the gang unit, the most violent criminals, the ones that are doing the active shooting. That's who we are pursuing. But again, we have the most amount of manpower immediately there. So in my eyes, it's less dangerous because, again, there's 5 of us together. Even though we're pursuing people who are known to be armed and have demonstrated, propensity for violence, there's still a bunch of us there. But someone may think, oh, that's the most dangerous because all you're doing is chasing armed, violent people. So
it's like when you drive up, is the shooting going on, or have they all scattered by then?
I've pulled up personally on active firefights where you still hear bullets whizzing by and things. And usually when they see police cars or hear sirens, people are trying to flee and scatter by the time we get there. But they still may be trying to take their last shots at each other as they're fleeing the area. So that's not, most of the time we get there and they're already gone, and now we're trying to figure out what happened, who was involved, and start our investigation.
I don't know. I think that takes a lot of guts to do something like that. I mean,
I think that also kind of leads into on that safety issue. A lot of people question or criticize the police. Why were there 5 squad cars at a traffic stop, kind of thing. And I've always looked at that really is a safety issue for the officers and for whoever has been stopped. Because if an officer is emotionally engaged, agitated kind of stuff, his fellow officers will kind of cool him down. And I think to the general public, what you said, rolling in with the gang unit, when you have a lot of people there, folks are more likely to run away or stop the bad behavior that they're doing.
But I'll bet you a lot of times when you're headed that way, you already know who these kids are.
Sometimes we do. Sometimes when it's the younger and younger kids that are just now, unfortunately, entering that kind of lifestyle or of violence, we don't quite know who they are yet. And as it gets younger and younger, it gets harder to figure that out until they've unfortunately been in the system and been arrested, and then we start seeing their names pop up over and over, and then we'll a lot of times know we'll know who they are then. But the younger ones are the harder ones to identify. So
when you confront these kids, what's it like?
When we confront the youth involved in violence, you get any type of response from just very defiant, don't want to listen to us or anybody, and think they know it all and they're invincible, to some kids will say, look, I don't really want to be shooting at houses, but I don't have any other choice. I need to be part of this group or else I'm going to be harmed myself or something. So, I want that sense of belonging and a sense of family. And
they do actually say that?
Sometimes.
These people are my family?
I've had that before. I've had a couple, teenagers that would break down crying, just saying, I really don't want to be in here. I just don't know what else to do, or I didn't have any other choice, basically, which just breaks my heart when we see that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it does say that you led to the expansion of the gang unit. It says team here, to 6 detectives, a full-time analyst, and a part-time fusion center analyst. So I was hoping you could explain what a full-time analyst and a part-time fusion center analyst are. So
most CJICs, most police departments have dedicated civilian analysts, because when my detectives, we come in, look at reports, so they have investigations, they're actually going out and doing surveillance or making arrests or going through information. We don't have time to necessarily read all 50 reports from the day before, because they
50 reports.
There's a large amount of reports written every day. Our guys, my guys, don't have time to come in, read everything from the day before, and then start making connections and connecting dots, and then move on to their own investigations and things. So analysts will do all that preliminary information shifting, going through all the reports, going through social media, looking what's out there on social media, talking to people, and connecting dots for the detectives to then use that for their investigation.
So do they also work with the homicide team?
So our analyst, he's a detective actually, but his dedicated job is to be an analyst. So he's there for us, and then homicide utilizes him a lot as well, because of course what we do and homicides unfortunately go hand in hand. So it's good in many departments has analysts that are just well versed in both units worlds, if you will, to help connect dots between the two that we may not have missed or may not have had time to have a conversation with homicide, but he'll be the one who'll say, hey, I know they were looking at this person, so.
I noticed when I was covering homicides, much more than I do now. I mean, obviously I I pay attention to them. It was usually the gang unit that was sent to arrest somebody. Once you had the probable cause written and you knew who you were going after, it was always the gang unit who was go to Indianapolis or catch them on I-69 or, wherever they might be to apprehend.
Right. We're part of, we call it the homicide task force, which is homicide detectives, us and gang unit, and the narcotics detectives, because when the homicide team does their investigation, identifies their suspect, and has their probable cause or warrant to arrest a person for homicide, then we're more equipped because we wear the uniforms every day and we go through, basic SWAT school and a lot of the tactical training from a uniform standpoint. And then the narcotics detectives will have some of their undercover detectives go out and do surveillance, and we'll sit there for 12 hours if we need to until the person comes out of the house. And then that's when we'll step in and swoop in and arrest them. So
that would drive me nuts to have to sit outside someplace for 12 hours.
Long.
And then you could never blink, right?
Right.
Oh, there he is. I think he slipped out the back door, And it's like...
And that happens sometimes too.
Yeah, it probably does. But, is it like... most of the prosecutors will get up and say, we're presenting you with this case, but don't expect it to be like what you see on TV. So how close are you guys to TV when you're sitting outside for 12 hours?
The TV makes everything glamorous and instant.
And wrap it up in an hour.
Yeah, it's not instant, it's not glamorous, it's a lot of days. And I mean, if you're sitting in a van doing surveillance and it's 2 degrees outside, well, you can't, if you have to turn your car off and freeze, because if you're the only car that's running parked amongst a bunch of cars that are snow covered, then you're going to stick out and the person's going to be like, oh, who's that? Sitting there for 12 hours in my parking lot or what? So it's just things that you got to do to blend in.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's lower than 2 degrees. So I think I would never say that police work is easy, that's for sure. So you led the implementation and oversaw the Crime Gun Intelligence Center Task Force, once again we're going to call CJIC, facilitating collaboration with the ATF, which is the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Special Agents, and other federal partners. Can I jump to the conclusion that we're talking about the FBI as well?
Not a whole lot with the FBI.
Really?
This is mostly with ATF and the U.S. Attorney's Office as a CJIC.
What about the U.S. Marshals?
If we identify somebody that may be outside of Fort Wayne, then they can go, find them elsewhere. So we'll definitely utilize them if we need to, or if we.
I mean, they're pretty amazing. The U.S. Marshals. I don't know how they. Well, I suppose they have a lot of, intel at their fingertips. I would hope they do. So it's an interagency collaboration, often led by the ATF.
So there's officially maybe 30 some CJICs across the country.
Right.
And once we complete our expansion, we'll be whatever the 31st or 32nd or whatever the number is.
So you're right in the middle of it right now.
We're about 90% finished. We're done with this formal expansion, if you will. We started it. You want me to go through how?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the whole point behind why agencies are going to the CJIC model, as opposed to just the traditional gang unit model, because up until these transitions, when there would be a homicide or a house would get shot up, officers would go collect shell casings and ballistic evidence, and then that evidence would go to the property room and then sit there for a few days till someone took it to the lab to get fingerprinted or DNA'd, and then it would sit there for a few days till it happened, and then go back to the property room for a few days. And then someone next week or 2 weeks would take it to a lab somewhere and get that evidence inputted. But those are regional labs that are just busy.
Indiana State Police Labs?
They're one of them, yeah.
Okay.
They're just busy because they do it for
everybody, yeah.
So it was.
And everybody's got a gun.
Yeah. Stay there for a while and then it finally get sent off. And then we would get, leads back from those ballistic evidence in 5 to 6 months down the road, which wasn't super helpful. So in the meantime, we were saying, well, we know that Joe Schmo is arguing with John Schmo, maybe he's responsible. We'll go sit over here for shooting up this house. Or we know there's some beef here. Let's just go to this area where there's a lot of shots fired. It was a lot more of just knowing the players and on hunches. This model is a lot more intelligence driven because now we've completely revamped that process. And so now when there's a shooting, a homicide, just a house gets shot up and there's ballistic evidence, or make a traffic stop and get a gun with somebody, I have 2 detectives, well, maybe 3 here soon, that are trained to take that gun and test fire it right away, or take the casings that were found on the street directly over to the ATF office, and they do some comparisons on a microscope, put in this machine, and that goes to the ATF National Correlation Center. And then if that casing hits to any other shots fired incident, we're getting that lead information back within 2 to 3 hours.
Wow.
So 2 to 3 hours as opposed to 5 to 6 months, has completely changed the game. So now if we have a shooting, Monday night, Tuesday morning, 8 in the morning, they're getting them in. If that shooting, the casings found on the shooting, Monday night, blink to anything else, we're finding out by noon the next day, and then we can go back out to where that shooting was and re-canvass for videos or re-interview witnesses, or maybe we'll say, okay, the shooting Monday night, we just got the lead back to this shooting from 2 weeks ago, and Joe Schmo was a suspect, and also linked to another shooting a month ago where Joe Schmo was a suspect. That's telling us Joe Schmo is linked to these crime guns. Joe Schmo is actively doing violence. Let's go out and target Joe Schmo, because we're chasing the gun and whoever's touching that gun. And if Joe Schmo's name keeps coming up in all these linked shooting incidents, so that means that Joe Schmo is involved in violence.
Are there any legal challenges to this? Because I know with Flock, which you were just in the editorial in the Journal-Gazette where they were talking about Flock, which is F-L-O-C-K, and I think it tracks gunshots.
One
Correct
of the things
me if I'm wrong. Okay. So I feel like that might be part of CJIC.
That will help this.
Okay.
Part of it, it'll help us because because the Flock audio, when it identifies gunfire, right now, when someone calls 911 to report gunfire, or an officer driving around hears gunfire, you don't know where it came from unless there's a body, unfortunately. A lot of times we get there and we're like, well, I see the holes in the house, but we're looking for casings, or you just hear gunfire in distance and you don't know where it came from. The Flock audio pinpoints the source of the gunfire or the car crash, the firework, whatever it is, within 90 feet. So that's a much better area to go search, a 90-foot, area.
That's amazing. 90 feet. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So departments that have this will go to these gunshot alerts and then find shell casings to then put into the system, which then is linking all these things together. Because let's say there's a report of gunfire tonight. What's tonight? Thursday? And then tomorrow, reported gunfire. And officers go find the casings, but there's no house that's hit. There's no injuries. There's not a whole lot of investigation. They'll collect the shell casings and go on to the next call. So then 2 or 3 of those, but then Sunday, there's an actual homicide. And then say there's no suspect description yet on the homicide. We'll get those casings in Monday morning, and we'll find out, hey, those casings from the homicide hit to the shots fired on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Well, now we'll go back to all those locations, and now we'll start knocking on doors, looking for video, for Ring doorbell video, doing some of the cell phone tower things to try to see if we can get a suspect from one of the previous shots fired incidents, which have done successfully.
Interesting.
To get a suspect for the homicide then.
What's the public input in this? Are they coming out there and saying, yeah, this is really great? We have a feeling we know who's doing this shooting, and are you getting support from them, or are they saying, hey, this is too invasive in our lives? For the Flock audio, are you talking? Well, for any of this right here. For the CJIC, we haven't heard any pushback at all, because there's. Are they even aware of it? They are. We've done press release. We did several press releases now, announcing the CJIC and how everything works. Then there's really all it is just picking up shell casings and learning in a matter of hours as opposed to months. Hey, these are linked together, and the suspects are because the witnesses gave their names. Or, we've developed them through video footage or something. So there hasn't been any really pushback on any of that investigative technology. The Flock audio or any of the Flocks always have, the whole balance. Is it too invasive? Is it not too invasive? So there's been all sorts of opinions and ideas on the Flock situation. But that's why we do our best to balance, protecting privacy and Fourth Amendment and
all those things with, the government's need to investigate crime and keep communities safe, and it's a hard balance. And like I said on the news the other day, like none of us want to be spied on by the government. We know that, yes, we are going to be responsible users today, but when I leave, I don't want the next person to come in and abuse technology, so we don't want to even purchase technology that could be abused, It's that
I mean,
balance.
the only scenario I could come up with for as far as abuse is like, say you do have a police officer who maybe his girlfriend's cheating on him, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, wait a minute, something else, I'll use this for I'm trying to think of the word, to like what a PI might do. So that's the only thing I would come up with. So
there's safeguards even for that situation.
Okay.
Say an officer is trying to see where his girlfriend goes and like searches her plate every day to see where it's hitting. There's built-in safeguards in Flock that if I search the same plate, I don't know what the threshold is, but it's like the same plate like 10 times this week, it's going to flag for the administrators to say, hey, this this person searched the same plate 10 times in a weird amount of time, go look at it. And then we'll go say, what the heck are you doing? Why are you running this plate? Type thing. So there's those built-in safeguards. As which initially Flock didn't have, but as the public has given input, and we've given input, they've said, oh, we need that. We've said, yes, we need that to show the public, look, if it can't be abused, you have to have a report number each time you run a search. You have to pick what the investigation is. Is it a homicide, a stolen vehicle? Each time you run that. And then if there's abnormal behaviors, it'll flag it so the administrative team can then go there and address it.
well, I mean, I think that's reassuring to know, don't you?
Well, we have, every agency department has confidentiality requirements, and you don't use your computer access for personal use. And there are flags in the system. I had somebody run, this was, 40 years ago, nearly.
Before social media.
Had a person who apparently traveled to Washington, D.C. during the Iran-Contra hearings and came back and ran Ollie North's license plate. And I got a call because it flagged a celebrity kind of thing. But, and you're talking about overuse of it. I think one point on the Flock is for years we've said, we don't have the resources to put a cop on every corner to stop crime. This is a step towards being able to do that, to respond quicker to dangerous situations. The privacy concerns, as I understand the technology, it's picking up stuff that if we had a cop on every corner, they would hear the same stuff. So I think the privacy concerns are maybe a little bit overblown, and it sounds like there are safeguards involved in the system itself to avoid misuse.
And even a cop on every corner would hear more than what the Flock audio does.
Yeah.
The Flock audio doesn't listen for human voices or words. It listens for that unique acoustic signature. So it's like the glass break detectors that are like in home alarm systems. When that glass breaks, it makes that unique acoustic signature. I don't know, it's a decibel level or whatever it is, and that's what activates the alarm. Says, hey, we just heard a gunfire or whatever. Is labeled that acoustic signature. That's what triggers the alarm to go off. So otherwise they're sitting there dormant, waiting for that gunfire, firework, or glass.
So it's not constantly recording.
Okay. Right.
So there was obviously some funding put in for ATF to be able to reach out to police departments and install this CJIC. The National Integrated Ballistic Information Network is...
So that's ATF runs that.
Connects shell casings to specific guns and E-Trace to trace gun ownership. I mean, that's huge for you all.
Yeah, that's all ATF. Those have been around for 10, 15 years probably.
Really?
E-Trace and IBAN.
And it says interagency collaboration teams consist of ATF agents, local police, detectives, crime analysts, and prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office.
We work with the office too.
Yeah, I'm sure. We're not going to leave out the Allen County prosecutor. Main goal is to stop violent gun crime, identify the sources of illegal guns, and prosecute offenders. So tell me something. How big of a problem are these illegal guns? I mean, you can supposedly manufacture them off what is it, Brock? You know, when you
Are you talking about 3D?
3D, yes. You can
I mean, we've got plenty of regular guns.
Yeah. They were the 3D printed guns were a huge problem maybe 2 years ago when the 3D printers became a lot cheaper, more easily to access, and then all the schools and libraries were purchasing them.
Right.
Shop class. But when they first came out, kids were going to the 3D printer into school after school and then printing guns or printing machine gun conversion devices.
And they were actually worked?
Oh yeah, they would work. They were.
Oh, really?
They're going to some of the libraries used to have just come on in and print what you want. So they're printing machine gun conversion devices and rifle parts in the library. So we went to all the schools and libraries and said, hey, here's what these things look like. If you see people making these, stop. And then now a lot of libraries, if to go do something, you have to give them like the plans to pre-print for you, so they'll make sure it's not a gun or a gun part. And the same with the schools. It's not just come use it for whatever you want. Now they have a lot of safeguards, but we still do search warrants every so often where we find 3, 4, 5 3D printers in someone's basement where they're printing, the machine gun conversion devices or, gun parts and things.
Do you hear about that from tips?
From tips or just from investigation from informants. Sometimes people post things on social media publicly, and that just makes our job easier.
People love to show their guns on social media.
Oh, don't they love to? I mean, it's a sentencing tomorrow that I'm probably going to go to. And the whole basis was rap videos, although they weren't allowed to, you all weren't allowed to produce them in the trial. But it was in the probable cause that Aaron Johnson wrote up. And that was the whole basis for the homicide. It was Avion Parker, who was killed by Christopher Recht, convicted, and Terrence Sanders. It was over a song because Terrence Sanders had been shot in the face, and they were starting to call him Scarface, and he got upset. And so they shot at each other. I mean, he was waylaid, he was ambushed. So it's just, I'm sure you've got somebody special listening to all those songs.
And again, that's why we need analysts that have time to sit there and listen to all the songs and play them 15 times to listen to all the different words and try to decipher things that they're talking about in there.
I know, it's a whole different language.
So yeah, sometimes it takes a while to decipher. And
it's where a lot of our slang comes from, personally. Yeah, I believe, throwing shade on people. I mean, it's extremely creative. As a lover of language, I find it extremely creative and yet so dangerous in this situation.
I've heard a rationale about 3D printing a gun. I don't know that would be very...
They wouldn't say it like that, though, would they?
Probably.
Would they, Chris? They'd have a different way. There would be code words for all of that. And, it's interesting. I'm sure there are college professors who literally specialize in these type of songs. And I mean, I love to listen to them. I haven't listened to one in a long time, but I always try and pull them up whenever there's a murder trial that involves them. In my research, I noticed that Indianapolis has one of these CJICs now, and that their homicide clearance rate has gone way up. I talked to Tommy Thompson, this was a few months ago now, from the IMPD, which would be the Indianapolis Metro Police Department. And in 2024, I think they were at like almost 72%. And when I talked to him last year, they were at 88. I don't know if they ended up that. But I did cheekily ask him. I said, well, was Fort Wayne an inspiration to you all? Since
we've been crushing the clearance rate for 19.
Yeah.
Are you still at 100% this year? I don't know. I mean, we've had
It's still the 90s, upper 90s. If
yeah.
not 100, yeah.
We had just this mad string of homicides in the past week. And I mean, do you have anything, since you've been at this for so long, any thoughts on why? I mean, lots of times they'll say, well, when the really hot weather starts, you know, and people are outside and this type of thing. I mean, what are your thoughts on all that?
I mean, there is some weather attributes, obviously, where people are. It goes both ways. Some people are cooped up inside all winter long, nowhere to go.
We get more domestics kind of thing.
First flare and arguments happen, and then when the summer is warmer out, people are outside. Not everyone has, you know, air conditioning or cool houses, which gets you all hot and bothered and upset quicker, and tempers flare. So and then we see a lot. The uptick in just the violence seems to increase, usually around May, gun violence at least.
Oh, okay.
Around May, and then we'll taper off in like usually October-ish, then kind of just calm down for the winter months, and then when it's warm outside, it's just back to gunfire season.
Yeah, well, they can get out more readily and shoot their guns off for no good reason. I mean, it's just fun. Maybe we should set up a bunch of shooting galleries all around town and concentrate on the southeast where they like to shoot their guns, and give them an opportunity to shoot the guns rather, you know, at a shooting gallery rather than at each other.
There you go.
Song, maybe.
Well, you know, I did write a rap song, but I didn't mention any names. So, and I personally think that we need more gun control. Do you have thoughts on that? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I really think that more background checks and things like that might even help the police.
I mean, I don't know what else. A lot of the guns we see are stolen, in burglaries, stolen from cars, 3D printed here and there, or just the straw purchasing of people who've gone through, you know, the extensive current background checks simply to buy it for their boyfriends or their own kids or friends who can't buy the guns.
That's what a straw purchase is?
Yeah. If someone can't purchase or possess a gun themselves on their own, I go to the store, say I want that gun. I'll sign the ATF form saying I'm buying this for me, and I leave and go, you know, here's your gun I just bought for you. You know, it's a straw purchase. So we see quite a bit of that.
So what do you think? How many guns are at the bottom of our rivers?
Probably tons.
Probably tons, everybody. Did you hear that? I mean, we did have that one amazing find. Remember that one where they killed the poor kid and then they dragged him down to the river and they put his body in there, and then they found the gun. They heaved it over, and some kayaker went by and with maybe a metal detector or something, and amazingly found the gun. I mean, I don't think that's ever happened before, right, Mike?
We found guns in water before.
Yeah.
Were you able to trace them to homicides?
I believe so.
Really?
As long as it will test fire, we can test fire it and then link the casing. When test fire produces a casing, if casings were found at a homicide scene, we could then link it that at least the casing was present at the homicide scene.
So where do you see us going with this? We're going to get CJIC. It's 90% there. You're going to be able to test fire. I mean, you're going to be able to take these shell casings. You're going to be able to test them, link them to almost immediately, like a few hours, link them to other shootings. And then you're going to have flock that will be able to detect where the shots are being fired. Because you're a doctor, Dr. Felton, and you're teaching criminal justice and forensic psychology, where do you think this where are they saying it's going to lead and head?
A lot of other cities that have had gunshot audio detection have seen reported, and they've self-reported anywhere from 30 to 46% decrease in gun violence after a few years of having audio detection. And they haven't done any, actual research, but through their, experiences and talking to citizens and the people they were arresting, they've come up with that people know if you fire a gun in this part of town or in this city that the police are going to hear it and the police are going to find shell casings. And so a lot of them have just moved elsewhere, displacement, just going elsewhere to do gun crime or not using guns apparently and going to other methods to harm people. But they've said a lot of them have seen that to decrease in, gunfire incidents and then a little bit decrease in violent crime in general, because they know, the people I've talked to said, we know if we fire a gun, like you cops are gonna know about it. So it's just displacement, I think a lot of it is, but helping those communities that are,
Maybe we should have set up outside chess and checkers tables and let them, give people activities, street dances, things like that.
Well, I think it's going to make because it's going to be a quicker police response, quicker investigation, hopefully it will result in more prosecutions.
I forgot to mention that, but yeah, that's also a huge factor. Is they are arresting more people. They're getting there quicker, using the Ring doorbells and all this video surveillance, and then see the car, the person running away, and then having better cases, and then making a lot more arrests also.
Oh yeah, a lot of people have been convicted. I've noticed on Ring doorbell, and you may not even be able to see their face, but and then you tie that in with other evidence, and they don't usually, the prosecutors usually prevail around here, Mike.
No, we've been able to track vehicles, track people as they move through the city.
It's amazing.
And this, I think, will only help.
Right.
And hopefully the message gets through that if you shoot somebody, there is a very high probability that it's going to be caught by something.
Right.
Well, homicides are down, and I'm talking about big American cities. That's come out. The homicide level has just dropped dramatically. I believe that when I did my research, that Indianapolis was starting to put CJIC in 2019, which you were talking about, where you came on the gang unit. So it's taken up till now because they don't have a big homicide problem down there.
They were over 200. If you look at it on a per capita basis, we're well below them with our, if we had their rate, because I think they hit 220, 225 a couple of years ago. I think they dropped last year. But they have, I think, roughly 1.2 million or so. So roughly 3 times bigger than Allen County. But
they didn't have the team approach that Fort Wayne developed with Captain Tim Hughes now, and but now Tommy Thompson told me that they had done some investments. So if they're willing to put the money in for this technology, that's why I'm saying some of it must be coming from the federal government.
Down there in Indy. Down there in Indy.
Well, and here too. If you've got ATF, that's federal government. So, that's why we need a strong federal government, in my opinion. Let me see if I forgot everything. One thing I really liked in here is you are an assistant public information officer. You were a voice stress operator.
Right. So the pre-employment people apply to us. We do the voice stress exam. I did that for a couple of years.
What's that like, though? Can you really tell when people are nervous that they've committed?
Tell when a lot of it is just after doing this job and being trained on just body language and deception. It's just a tool to help with that, and you can tell when someone is. You don't need a machine to tell you if they're completely lying. You know what I mean? This machine just helps, another tool in the toolkit to say, okay, when you answer these questions, here is your voice, your pattern. When you answer these questions, holy crap, look at this now, like what's going on? Why did you have that reaction? And then a lot of times they'll then remember they forgot to disclose something in their packet.
Oh, okay.
Or something.
What if you were born with like a guilty conscience, like I think I was, and then I was raised Presbyterian, which just made it all the worse.
I'll have to give you a voice stress test to see what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Like I see a school bus now and I freeze because I did pass one.
And criminal pass.
One of these days I'm going to argue that up and down.
We're keeping this on the record.
Of course. American Society of Criminology National Conferences. You are a leading investigative research assistant for a criminal profiling agency. Can you talk about that?
A little bit. When I was doing my master's back in 2012 and 13, one of my professors, she also was a criminal profiler and owned her own criminal profiling agency. And so we would do research because she liked developing profiles that weren't out there. So we did a lot of research together and published some articles on, she developed a profile for like infantophilia, because what she was saying was those who, and it's been a while now, but pedophilia is a certain age range, but no one differentiated between those who target like infants as opposed to just kids in general. She wanted to come up with a profile for those who prefer infants over 8-year-olds, for example. So we did a lot of research on those types of things. Or the other big one was...
That must have given you nightmares.
Yeah. I mean, it's not fun reading research and writing about that topic, but it helped. And then the other one was I want to say it's women serial killers who poisoned or something.
Oh,
Like she went
we just had one of those in the national news. Remember? And then she writes a children's book on grief, and it turned out that she poisoned her husband with fentanyl. Did you not see that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah.
Saw the coverage last night.
Yes, it was on the national news.
She got a life sentence, I believe.
And even her 3 boys are saying, we don't want her to ever get out of prison.
Yeah.
I was like, Corey was her name.
Okay.
You also have a doctor in philosophy in criminal justice. Does that mean you studied Socrates?
So you're the philosophy component, Doctor of Philosophy and Criminal Justice with a PhD is, right? Doctor of Philosophy. So
Oh, okay.
you study a lot about, ontology and philosophical things, and yeah.
So what kind of books do you like to read when you have a chance amongst all these other
Now I like to read a lot of like just leadership books and
Really?
books, self-development books and things like that.
Jeez, you're on point all the time. What do you do just to release yourself from all of this? Do you play golf?
Sometimes. I'm not a huge golf person. I play sand volleyball once a week. I play softball in the summers or volleyball in the winters, which is like indoor volleyball.
Oh.
We go to the gym, 3 to 4 times a week. And me and my friends have a kind of a cigar bourbon club, so we'll get together every so often, have a cigar and talk about bourbon
And other general matters.
just usually nothing to do with policing. Just complete. We don't like to talk about. I don't talk about work outside of work, like at all. I like to leave work at work and
Yeah, I mean everybody needs to.
have a life.
Right.
Like I was telling my students, and when I was at FTO here, like this is not your identity. I'm Chris. I'm a person. I play volleyball. I work as a police officer, but I'm not a cop. That's not me. It's not who I am. Does that make, you know what I'm saying? Like this is not your identity. Because when people who make this their identity when they retire, then they die. They have no purpose in life, nothing to live for. Like this is just your job. It's a big job, and it still takes a person, and it's a passion and everything. But this is not solely who you are. You have to have a life outside of this job.
Well, I always ask people what kind of music they listen to.
Everything, literally everything.
I mean, lately I've been into opera arias, and I don't mean to sound like an egghead, but they've really, I don't know what it is. It's a need. It's not always there. So do you have a favorite kind of music?
Like if I'm writing or researching, I like classical. I'll have classical in the background. Sometimes when driving, I'll have classical playing. Sometimes I'll have rap playing or rock.
Yeah, I like rap.
It just depends.
But like when you're talking about classical, what do you like?
Some of like the Mozart type things. Some of I have Pandora for my classical, and I have a big mix of like old school classical to some like the newer age classical remixes on current songs, and like Two Cellos is an awesome group. I've heard Two Cellos before, but they'll remix some of the songs from the past decade or so. They'll just play them on cellos, like a classical.
Give them a laugh,
if you will. But then researching more so just the old school classical music.
I'm a big fan of Chopin.
Okay.
Mozart gets a little busy sometimes.
Okay.
When your mind needs to kind of.
I don't really like.
What about you, Mike? I know you like classical music.
Yes, when I occasionally take a Saturday or Sunday afternoon nap, I'll put on the Music Choice Classical channel.
It helps you out.
On TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do tell you. I had that. I don't know what happened to it. I learned a lot, like Elgar. I never knew about him before, and then.
But probably my favorite piece that's considered, it's more modern, but Gershwin.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now you're going into the American Songbook.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And popular, I'm Beatles, Eagles, kind of stuff.
Great people, great bands, no doubt about it. All right, I have a present for all of you guys. I went to the Folger Shakespeare Theater Library. I was in D.C. last week. Honest to God, I came back with more appreciation than ever, because I did live at one point in Washington, D.C. How beautiful that city is.
So did I.
Yes, I know you did, and I put it in the script, although I'm not following it. I mean, you were there as a very young man, attending lingual school. Is that what they call it?
Language school.
Language school. And did you know that Mike speaks Vietnamese?
Oh, it's awesome.
I mean,
I went to school for it. I don't know how much I speak.
well, you know, we do have a Vietnamese community here. It would be really a hoot to get everybody together. And
I would be.
anyway, and so one of the places that I used to go a lot when I lived there eons ago was the Folger Shakespeare Library. So I got these. They still make these. They're like hand-cut postcards. And so I was going to give you a choice, but the one that I chose for Mike was, they had a lot from Julius Caesar. The Tragedy of Julius Caesar. Isn't that a beautiful card? I don't know who hand cuts it. I'm sure it says there. Printed from blocks near Stratford-upon-Avon in England. And I was going to give Mike a chance if he wants to read a couple. And then I was going to give Chris, I did kind of pick one out for Brock, because As You Like It. And it's a lovely message. It says, and this our life exempt from pub-like haunt, finds tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything. And I just thought, that's Brock to a T.
Right.
Yes. But I was going to give Chris, I've got wonderful here, Brutus and Caesar, now be still, I killed not thee with half so good a will. I thought that was a great one, although I know. And here's another one, because like I said, there was a lot from Julius Caesar, okay? This is the famous one where he's saying, et tu, Brutus, then fall, Caesar. So
See, I've got the one, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him.
that's right, not to praise him, but read the rest.
The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were for, it was a grievous fault, and grievously, I'm not sure what word.
Grievously.
Yeah, there's no S. Hath Caesar answered for it.
It's wonderful. So that's a choice for you too, darling. Or
Okay.
now I don't think that I don't know. You might want Romeo and Juliet, or this is Ophelia, which I showed my sister because it mentions rosemary, which is a wonderful herb and so fantastic to smell, and yet she's like, ooh, that one kind of spooks me out. So I will keep Ophelia. All right.
Perfect.
I don't want to wish that on anybody, but there, you just make your choice, dear. And
I'll be different. I'll take this one.
you want friends Roman, or wait a minute. Oh, okay, so read it out, Chris. Come on, I know you could do it.
You just did. Kiefer?
Caesar.
Caesar. Now be still. I killed not thee with half so good a will.
Yes. You can read it again now that you know what it is.
Caesar, now be still. I killed not thee with half so good a will.
Wouldn't that be something if one of our folks down there with all their guns actually said that? I mean, I think I'm going to send that. I think I'm going to send that to some of them and say, you know what, use that one instead. So, anyway.
I think they've done a few movies where they've taken Shakespeare and spoke as it was written.
Okay.
In modern times.
But why bother? Because if they're really good actors and actresses, if they read it like that, like you guys did such a great job, seriously, once you read it over, that it sounds like us. If the actor knows how to do it properly, it sounds like normal conversation. Oh yeah, I killed you with not half so good a will.
You sound very normal.
I sound so normal, right? All right, so you guys, I've had a really lovely time, and of course I could hardly wait to bring out the cards because they're so beautiful.
Yes, I appreciate it.
I still have one from years ago. I think it's from Midsummer's Night Dream, where Puck, he goes, Lord, what fools these mortals be. And I mean, it's true today too, hate to say. I don't think we've made that much progress, as they say. So anyway, does anyone want the last word? Because otherwise I am going to have to sign off. Mike, you usually come in with the last word.
I just think that there's an editorial this morning about some of what we've talked about in the Journal-Gazette, and they're concerned about privacy issues, and I think Chris has answered that this isn't going to pick up conversations. There are safeguards built into the system and to policies that limit its use. And it's the type of thing that should help us. And the more tools we have that help us, hopefully that message will get across to people to not shoot other people.
Right.
I mean, we're fighting a mentality, I think, with some of our gun usage, and I don't know if you see this, but it seems as though when we got rid of handgun permits, there was something that a lot of people thought, well, then I can carry a gun, and I can understand how many might feel they need to carry a gun because other people have guns.
Right.
But there's also some kind of mentality that people, I think, believe they can use the gun in any way they want. And they don't recognize that we still have laws about gun usage. And there are many things about a gun that can result in a criminal prosecution. And the self-defense laws are not just because somebody disses you or makes you angry, that does not entitle you to use deadly force. So I'm hoping that somehow we get that message across, and obviously to our young people that are growing up in this gun culture. We actually had a meeting yesterday with Judge Eckenbarger, the new juvenile court judge.
Super.
And he's got some ideas about trying to target some of the teenagers and identify folks that are high risk for guns. That hopefully we'll see some things that we get started on the prevention area earlier with kids. So
Somebody's like, get them when they're 8 or 9. I don't know what Chris feels about that, but
I have a really good relationship with juvenile probation chief Chris Rary, and we talk a lot about how we can partner, and they're more equipped on the prevention education side, more the enforcement side. That is by nature of our job. But how can we partner with each other and help each other on both ends, but really try to stop them from coming into the system and getting into this gang lifestyle and then embracing that gang persona in the first place. So
I think we should go into the schools and have proxy grandmothers and grandpas.
well,
You know, and just say, you know, even though I'm not related to you, I love you, and you know, here's a Christmas present, and know that, you know, that.
no, it's one of the problems. A lot of these kids are not parented much.
yeah.
I definitely wrote a story about that, but took some heat.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chris, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Remy.
I mean, it was wonderful.
Thank you.
And I hope that we made you comfortable enough
Absolutely.
to
I appreciate
talk about, and then you get to take your swag home.
I love it.
Julius, he's maybe I should get those all the time. So anyway, this has been The Probable Cause. This is a podcast that you can hear on Apple or Spotify. I always post them on the Facebook page, and they're always on our website, www.theprobablecause.com. So for now, we wish you a very nice day, and goodbye. This episode is filmed and edited by Frosty Pictures. The Probable Cause is produced by Maumee Media.
Worried when I crossed the Michigan line, a cop from Steuben County waiting on I-69. A headlamp went out while he pulled me over. Charged me with possession after I rolled down the window.
Now that's skunk.
Indians a trip when it comes to weed. It's like who doesn't smoke or use gummies? Your grandpa, your brother, your rich friend from school? Hell, throwing the whole courthouse and my attorney too. It's time those assholes change these stupid laws. It ain't worth the paper for a probable cause. Sitting on a bar stool in my usual place, this guy next to me said he was looking for some cocaine. Well, I just sold him an 8-ball with a little piece off for me. But my buyer was a cop? Should have known he was a creep. So I'm a dealer, right? You gotta be kidding. It's a rich man's drug. I just take it because I'm injured. 8 years in Westville with a monkey in my back. There's more drugs in here than you can shake a shank at. One dirty drug test, man, this system's flawed. Undercover screwed me in my probable cause. 3 times never did me no favors. I'm hooked on Fetty. I'm a junkie, not a felon. Told that son of a bitch on the way to lockup. I can't seem to shake it. I need help, not mocking. What do you want from someone who's been through the system? Drugs all through the house before mom and dad went to prison. Throw me in jail and give me a fine? Someday I'll be dead and away from your kind. Now I'm at the courthouse in front of a judge. Can't say my public defender cares for me much. Crimes are committed on both sides of the law. God help me now with this probable cause. C-shift never gets old. Anything can happen when you're out on patrol. You think I'm just eating donuts, man? Give me a break. Nothing on this job is a piece of cake. Lights and sirens activated, this knucklehead wants to chase. Baby mama at the scene just spit in my face. Wife's worried that someday I won't be pulling up at all. You'll read about my killer in a probable cause. Man. She went through my phone and she seen my text. I told her forget it. It was just my ex. She took a swing and knocked me flat. Man, I went wild to get her back. Judge slapped me with a no contact order. Now she's got the kids and she's staying with her mother. So she started it all and I have to take the fall. You can read my whole story in the probable when I was young. Caught a case for dealing and did my time. Yeah, I got a record, but I was doing fine. Running my own business on the southeast side. Yeah, I got a gun. I kept it on hand. Told the cop my reason, thought he'd understand. In this neighborhood, you need some protection. Attorney thought I could get just community corrections, but the judge decided to send me to prison. Can't get ahead no matter how hard I try. Read the probable cause, it'll make you cry.
Whispers and rumors that don't get reported. Stories I write that are often distorted. Got my notebook and pen, and I'm ready to listen. Tell me the truth, I'll consider your position. I've seen killers with eyes so cold and dead, and others go to prison because of what someone said, rotting away for the rest of their lives, leaving a hole here on the outside. Things are sad here on earth, and it's no wonder why, when you consider the sociopaths who remain in charge. It's me who sees the system for all its flaws, and I usually start with the probable cause. My right hand is reading the probable cause.